I'm speaking with Joann Falletta, music director of the Virginia Symphony, the Buffalo Philharmonic, and now the Ulster Orchestra of Ireland. Joann, I bet you're enjoying that new orchestra you've got across the pond.
It is fun. It's a very different experience, but it's nice to come back to Norfolk, that's for sure, especially in the spring and summer, because Ireland never seems to get that warm.
Oh, no. Well, it's good. You're going to warm things up this weekend with the Mahler Symphony No. 8, that work known as Symphony of 1,000. I've been talking with some of the musicians, and there is some serious woodshedding going on. And if you don't know the term woodshedding, that if you're a musician and you've got a concert coming up, you get the music and you practice like crazy before the rehearsal. So you have them hopping over here, I'll say that. And that should lead to a super performance. How many rehearsals have you got to do to put the Mahler together?
Well, we've got, with the orchestra, we have 4 rehearsals. We've got a separate rehearsal with the chorus, a separate rehearsal with the soloist. So we should be prepared, but it's a gigantic piece for us. And I think one of the reasons they're excited and a little worried about it is that we've never done it. We've done all the other Mahlers, Raymond, but never done Mahler 8.
Well, I've seen most and heard most of your Mahler performances, and you are a Mahler conductor born. You really are. You've got it in your blood. And I have to guess, as a young musician, you must have been inspired at some point by your mentor, Leonard Bernstein, who was the great Mahler champion.
Absolutely. You know, I think without Bernstein, we would not be playing the Mahler symphonies today. I mean, certainly Bruno Walter was a great champion, but not in our country, really. So Bernstein, I say single-handedly, put Mahler in our repertoire. And it was music that suited him so well. It was music that was filled with the extremes of emotion and required tremendous commitment, personal commitment, which, of course, he was able to give. And I remember watching him conduct even in our school, with our school orchestra, watching him conduct Mahler and just marveling at the connection he had with this music.
Well, you've learned well, and, of course, you've got a big force for this. I was over in London last summer when they did the Havergal-Bryant Gothic Symphony, and they did have 1,000 performers. It was a symphony of 1,000 with chorus of 700 and orchestra of 300. Odd parallels there. He used the Faust Part 2 or Act 2 of Goethe's Faust along with the Te Deum. Mahler uses the Veni Creator Spiritus and the inspiration of Goethe's Faust for that symphony. And you've got, I think, 400 choristers singing that.
That's right. And an enormous orchestra and 8 soloists and brass in the balcony. It's just as if Mahler had to sort of surround his audience with sound.
And yet you've got the symphony calls for mandolin and harmonium as well. You're going to put little music, big music. What are you using for organ for this performance?
Well, you know, we have to bring in an organ, and so it's and we pipe it through the sound system of the house. So it should be very resonant, and we're still experimenting with that. You know, it's hard to get the balance just right in a piece like this, as you can imagine, Raymond. The huge forces, but also sometimes the delicacy that Mahler wants, present real challenges for us.
That's the amazing part about this symphony. In some places it's so transparent, and in other places so overwhelming. I understand they're building out the stage over at Chrysler Hall, and then you've got William and Mary Hall up in Williamsburg. I'm going to be there for that performance Saturday night. And it takes that much room. You've got, the Virginia Symphony Chorus, the Christopher Newport University Chamber Choir, choristers from William and Mary, the Old Dominion University Concert Choir, the Richmond Symphony Chorus, and Virginia Children's Chorus, along with your 8 soloists. So that is a massive amount of choral music to handle. Are you having to use a megaphone or anything, or can they all hear you?
I consider a megaphone, but I'm using a microphone just to be able to communicate with all of them. And you know, it is very special, particularly for us to have the Richmond Symphony Chorus with us, because the bulk of the choral forces are made up from our Virginia Symphony Chorus and the Richmond Symphony Chorus. And I didn't realize, Raymond, that this is kind of historic, because the 2 choruses have never collaborated, never sung together, and that's part of the delight of this, to introduce these wonderful courses to each other, and I think we've created some really strong friendships here, and it's really bringing many people together to do this mammoth undertaking.
Now I'm going to ask you one question I've never asked a conductor before, and that is, for a work of this magnitude that requires so much energy, what do you eat before the performance? What do you use for energy?
Well, I find, first I have to be honest, I think the adrenaline rush for just being in the middle of that gives me so much energy, but I'm very careful when I know I have to do a performance that requires continuous energy like this to not eat too soon, but to eat something maybe 3 or 4 hours before, and then not eat again, and then just to go into it. But I have to tell you, Raymond, that when you give that downbeat and you know you've got an hour and a half ahead of you, and you have to make that architecture seem completely right, and that first E-flat major chord has to lead to the end of the piece inexorably and with good sense and structure, that is the most daunting feeling in the world. And I think this piece, frankly, is the most daunting I've done in terms of architecture, of getting that all to work and make perfect sense.
Well, you've been doing so many great Mahler performances over the years. Now, is this your first performance of the Mahler Eighth that you personally have been able to conduct?
It's my first, and who knows, it may be my only, and that's what the musicians and I, why we're treasuring this so much, that this may be the only time that we do Mahler 8, and we're very aware of the privilege of that, and it's amazing to be in the middle of it.
Well, Mahler, of course, who didn't sanction the title Symphony of 1,000, did say about the work, try to imagine the whole universe beginning to ring and resound. There are no longer human voices, but planets and suns revolving. And I know as a lifetime Mahlerian, you are not only are you privileged, but we're privileged to have you working on this symphony. I can't even imagine how many hours you spent studying the score and getting ready for this, but I know it had to be a work of a lifetime and a love of a lifetime.
It's been about a solid year of studying this work, and even though I have done, as you said, I've done the other Mahlers, and of course the language is similar, this piece is really in a category by itself, even in Mahler's works. It's unique. It requires a very different way of thinking about things. I mean, he set this aside in his opus, that this is something that was personally very, very important to him, very special, very unusual combination of texts and inspirations, and it's been really a labor of love, but it's taken a long time to kind of make my way into this piece, and it's a very rewarding experience to now be physically in the middle of it.
And he did it in one burst of creativity. I saw a picture of the little house he composed this in. It's a tiny house. It looked like a one-room house. Yeah. You can imagine Mahler in this little small country home writing this gigantic work and having universes of sound come out. And I know that we've been waiting for you to conduct this for a long time. We've been looking forward to it because you have given us so many great Mahler moments with the Virginia Symphony, and this, I think, is probably going to be the greatest of them all. And I know that if you don't get a chance to go hear this performance, you're going to miss one of the epic events, maybe the epic event of all concerts that have ever taken place in this area. And let me tell them when the performance is, because I know that we've got to get those tickets out. It's going to be this Saturday, May 26, 8 p.m., William and Mary Hall in Williamsburg, and Sunday, May 27th, 3 p.m. at Chrysler Hall in Norfolk. You're doing a pre-performance talk at Chrysler Hall. How about William and Mary? Well,
actually, it will be only at Chrysler. William and Mary, just because of the bigness of the venue.
Mm-hmm.
We feel that we really can't do that, but it will be a chance to hear something magnificent in a huge space. I think Mahler would have approved of that. I mean, His sense of bigness was certainly extreme. So the idea that we're playing it in such an open and unusual space, I think would have just delighted him.
Well, I think your performance will delight the memory of Gustav Mahler, and you can get those tickets by calling the Virginia Arts Festival at 282-2822, or get them at the festival box office on Bank Street next to Chrysler Hall, or vafest.org, or Ticketmaster.com. There's all kinds of ways to get your tickets for the performance. But you got to be there. This is the one time that we get to hear you do the Mahler Eighth. Actually, not the one time. 2 times you're going to do it. If you really want to get yourself saturated with it, go twice. Saturday, May 26, 8 p.m., William and Mary Hall in Williamsburg. Sunday the 27th, 3 p.m., Chrysler Hall in Norfolk. Joann Falletta, thank you for taking a few minutes with us. I know you're going to go back, study that score a little bit more and get ready.
Exactly right.
But we are so excited and ready, and we look forward to seeing you this weekend and the Mahler Symphony No. 8. And thank you for taking a few minutes to talk with us, get that energy back up, and we'll see you in the hall for Mahler.
Thank you. See you there, Raymond.
Thank you,
so
Joann.
much.
Bye-bye.